Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Ekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Umakurganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajanaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambah Kandapurvajaha Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye Yasyad Viradavaktradhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. It is only signal grace of Bhagavan, signal grace of Swami, that we have this opportunity, that we are gathered here. He has actually brought us together to listen to his glories and his stories. And with his grace, we will take up the slokams of Bhagavatam one by one, and with his grace, the thought that occurred to me is really do my best not to interfere between Vyasa and you. In other words, this is not a Vyakhyanam, not a Pravachanam. This is not my experiences. It is actually as sage Vyasa himself writes, and each one of us listen to him attentively. Now the language happens to be Sanskrit, right? And that will be my only contribution, if at all, is to go through and separate the words and understand the meaning of the words, and then give a summary of the slokam, either in the beginning or end of the slokam, or both. But it is very important that you listen to the Mahamuni himself, sage Vyasa himself, and Vyasa is nothing but an avataram of Srimad Narayana, and Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya, it says that. And so we listen to him very carefully. Now, what is the one requirement to listen to the sage and listen to this most sacred and the only that's available to humanity? What is the one requirement? The only requirement is Vinayam. It's a reverential attitude, and really with our mind and our hands extended and submitting to the Bhagavan in our heart, and we listen to it with tremendous humility, like a child learning from the mother. And that is the best way to receive this greatest teaching that is available to humanity. Why is it the greatest? Because the Bhagavatam is so sacred, it's so powerful, that it has the power to take us right to the lotus feet of Bhagavan himself. It is like an express train. It is like there is no stoppage. So that is the power of it. So let us supplicate and submit ourselves to this greatest blessing that one can receive in one's life. And another thing I want to say is that Bhagavatam slokams are recited in several ways. People sing in different tunes. And what I intend to do is to really read the slokams in as clear a manner as possible, so that we can listen to the sage. And as I begin, with Swami's grace, I want to remind some of us, if not all of us, or also share with those who have not heard the summary before what Bhagavatam is all about. The very important introduction, a perspective to the journey that we are undertaking with His grace. The name Bhagavata is, what does it mean actually? It means several things, and each one of them is equally sacred. So let us see what Bhagavata actually means. It denotes every account of experience of those people who have contacted Bhagavan or a Bhakta. Bhakta and Bhagavan, there are no difference at all. Both are one and the same. So those people who have had the blessing and the fortune to have contacted, to have tasted the nectarine sweetness of Bhagavan or a Bhakta, those experiences, every single account of that experience is the Bhagavata. Bhagavan assumes many forms, and he to carry out many activities, innumerable activities. It is absolutely incorrect to limit his avatarams to 10. And it's infinite, innumerable avatarams have taken place, continuing to take place. The name Bhagavata itself is the experiences, it denotes the experiences of those people who have not only tasted Bhagavan, but who have also realized Him in those various forms that He comes, that He takes and comes and interacts, so that we can cognize and play with Him and learn from Him. All those, every minutest account of that is the Bhagavata, because each one of them has been blessed by His grace. Now, when we say the Bhagavatam, we all think of the book, the great book, the great work, one of the greatest works that has been contributed, that has been the greatest service that sage Vyasa did, even after he composed all the 17 Puranas and the Mahabharatam, but he was not satisfied. This was what culminated in his contentment, the greatest contribution, the great work of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam as we call it, that is honored, that is respected and propitiated by people who are masters of Vedas themselves, by greatest rishis, because the Srimad Bhagavatam, which by the way is not limited only to that book. Please understand that, because stories and glories of Bhagavan are endless. There is no beginning, there is no end. So, but the Srimad Bhagavatam has the power, it's a panacea to cure all our illnesses, whether it is mental, physical, psychological, emotional, whatever, because it is saturated only with the sweetness of the nectar of the prema of Bhagavan. Nothing but that. Now, why it is so important? Because the principle, the avataram takes place and interacts, and what gives it the authenticity. And now, another meaning of Bhagavata is not every person who loves Bhagavan, who wants to be with Him, and who is thinking of Him, has realized Him. Doesn't matter. Even those people who are attached to God, and who seek the companionship, who seek the proximity, the friendship of Bhagavan, or the company of Bhagavan, those people are also Bhagavatas. And for them, this book, Srimad Bhagavatam, is most precious. They value it above anything else. And it is like the breath of their life itself. Now, if we find ourselves in the midst of such Bhagavatas who love this Srimad Bhagavatam, the stories and glories of Bhagavan, who are seeking the company of Bhagavan and who want to be only in the company of Bhagavan, how lucky and fortunate we are. And then initially we may not have a great taste for this, but in their company and listening to the stories of Bhagavan, the taste automatically sprouts. And then that takes us to a different level of consciousness. This intense yearning, the person who has this intense yearning for the company of Bhagavan is a true Bhagavata. Now, we think that avatarams take place paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya dushkritam, only to protect the sadhus and to eliminate all the wickedness. No, that's not the main reason why avatarams come. Avatarams come in response to the yearning, that sincere, deep yearning of a true bhakta. Very important. Incidentally, like the way a cow gives its milk only to the calf, that's why it secretes milk, but all of us benefit from it. The avataram comes there to talk and to caress and to interact and to give comfort to and succor to and encourage the bhakta in his spiritual journey and to embrace him. That's the reason it comes. In that process, all of us also benefit from it. Yes, as part of that, it does protect the sadhus. It does remove wickedness. It does open up the hearts of several people. It opens up prema and love. It spreads. So many people benefit from it. But the main reason avataram comes is in response to the yearning of a bhakta. Now, the Bhagavan is totally free. Swarat, we are going to see in the first slokam. Absolutely free. Swarat is which means Bhagavan is not bound by time or space or form. He is not bound to come only to earth. He can choose any place at any time, at any moment, in any form that he wills. He is totally free. So avataram is not limited to any particular form or anything like that. Those are our limitations. For looking at it from Bhagavan's perspective, there is no difference between an ant or an earthworm or a human being or a leaf on a tree. Everything is saturated only with Bhagavan. The difference only comes in the upadi, the vessel. There is no other difference. Just like electric current going through different bulbs and other electric appliances, the current is the same. There is only one, but the appearances are many. And this is very, very important. The wise people, the dhiras, the dhiraha, as Bhagavad Gita calls it, those and bhavukaha, the first slokam is going to, third slokam is going to talk about it. Is those people, they see the oneness in everything. But Bhagavan, even though he is one, he does not appreciate one activity, oneness in activity. Activities are several, various, appearances are several. That is where the fun and the game is. But the underlying current is one and the same. There's only one, ekam. Now, sometimes Bhagavan comes down in avataram takes place. Remember, it's the avatar we are talking about, the stories and the glories and the interactions and the manifestations of what we call as Ascharyam. In Bhagavad Gita, it talks about it, the wonders. And in that process, it attracts us to him. It reminds us who we really are. In that process, avataram comes. And it can come in many ways. Sometimes it comes in one amsam of it, or one part of it, or sometimes it comes just to do one particular, accomplish one particular thing and goes away. And sometimes it comes to transform an entire era of time, an entire continent of space. And this is the story of these that the Srimad Bhagavatam elaborates. Not all the avatarams it elaborates. Please remember that. That's what we call as the thing that is epoch-making, the Yuga-avatarams. Those are the things that Srimad Bhagavatam elaborates. And the drama that the avataram enacts and how the bhaktas are drawn to it, that is the subject matter of the Bhagavata. Now, when we listen to it attentively and with humility and reverentially, we are automatically drawn to Bhagavan, leading to realization of what we really are yearning for. many sages, rishis have extolled the efficacy, the authority, the trueness, the truth of Bhagavatam. The greatness of it cannot be put in words at all. Now, how does it relate to us on a personal basis? We are all creatures of instincts, all of us. When we are born, we had no skills, but we had instincts. The very first instinct each newborn has is to go and suck milk from the mother's breast. Nobody taught that to the child. It's a natural instinct, right? And later on, the child learns to walk and talk and all that. That requires training. This is not natural. But the natural thing each one of us have is instinct. And this instinct is what our senses also have. Our senses have the instinct to seek the sense objects. But that has to be done in a skillful, controlled, disciplined manner. To do that, the elders have given us many practices. It could be like, whether dhyanam or sandhyavandanam or japam or puja, whatever we do. Those are all exercises, tools given to us to discipline the instinct of our senses. That basic thing, that's the only reason they are given. But initially, we are not interested in that. We rather go and do something else, right? Follow the pleasures of the senses and not go in the path of where God is asking us to go. But just like a child how does a mother wean a newborn baby from milk, and then after some time it gets attached to milk? Then how does a mother wean it and develop the habit of taking rice? Initially the child resists, but with practice it takes over eating rice and gives up the milk. Like that, initially we may resist listening to the stories and glories of Bhagavan, but the more we listen to it, automatically our senses come under control. They do not chase all these the shoddy things of life. They would rather seek the company of Bhagavan. And that's the thing that happens when you listen to Bhagavatam very referentially. When that happens, seeking the company of God and the godly, seeking the company of people who are sincere, not verbally, not who make a big show, but who are heart is bound to seek the company of Bhagavan. Those people's company, when you seek, then that is a hallmark of a good human being. That's the very first hallmark. That is the sign, not by external appearances, not by the dress that I wear or what one speaks. No. Or all the poems one can recite, the 700 verses of Gita one can recite. These are all meaningless. Does that person sincerely yearn for the company of God? That should be the only yardstick. And that's the person's company you keep, because that is the hallmark of the good. Now, how do we partake? This third slokam is going to talk about. Rasikas, take this, this amritam of Bhagavatam. It's going to talk about. Vyasa is going to tell us. But how do we take that in? It can be done in several ways. You can read it alone, or you can sit in a sanctified place, in a temple, puja room, or another prayer hall, or whatever. Yes, you can do that. Nothing wrong in that. Or you can approach people who are very pious and who are bhaktas and ask them to recite the stories to you. That's another way to listen. Because the important thing, the merit lies in the company. When you listen to somebody giving pravachanam, vyakhyanam, their expositions of Bhagavatam, the way they understand it, and if they experience it, that's even better. But yes, that is good. That is better than you reading it by yourself. Now, you can be going through the text when somebody is explaining that, while you're listening. That is also very good. Now, it's even better if you can listen to it in company rather than alone. Now, it is even better than that when you listen to it in a group with a group of people, and everybody in the group is as eager as you are, as sincere as you are, as much yearning as you have, sincerely to seek Bhagavan. That is very good. Now, if the person who is expounding and the Bhagavatam, if that person has had the blessing and the fortune to have tasted the nectarine sweetness of Bhagavan, has experienced the truth of what Bhagavatam is talking about, not just the sentences, but experience it personally, oh my God, that is the most supreme luck. Because what happens when he recites, narrates, he actually, that person lives those moments, he experiences it. And naturally, his rapture and bliss and the happiness is contagious. Automatically, the listener feels it. And what happens? When there is genuine yearning for Bhagavan, what is the first thing that happens? Tears come out of your eyes uncontrolled. That is that Kshetrasakaram where Srimad Narayana is residing. Now, in this group of a person who has experienced Bhagavan and is describing, like Sukamuni was, how many times he went into Samadhi when he was describing to Parikshit. When you enter that space, where that person is describing the glories, everybody is rapturously attending and people are all crying out of rapture and yearning to get back home. That Kshetrasakaram is there. When you enter that room as a new entrant, you will also start crying and weeping. That is the beauty of this Bhagavatam. Now, when you start listening carefully, what happens? All the dirt in our mind, so to speak, the 6 enemies we have, the Bhagavatam, the story itself is like a disinfectant. It cleans like a cleaner. It removes all the dirt, all the 6 vices go away, and along with, once the 6 enemies go away, all the other habits and the tendencies that we had that were all violent and evil and all that, they all vanish. Immediately they disappear. What is left behind is the true nature of each one of us. Now, our nature is nothing but prema. We are all prema swarupas. We are all embodiment of love. We don't realize it. When all the dirt is gone, what is shining is our own true self, which is prema. Now, the beauty about prema is it needs somebody to love too. It cannot just by itself. So, the prema is directed to the dark blue divine child, the charming cowherd boy who is nothing but pavitram, purity personified. And who is this little boy? He is the embodiment of service, embodiment of sacrifice, and embodiment of selflessness. To him, this prema is directed to it. Then, step by step, that becomes deeper and purer and deeper and purer, and ultimately you merge in him. This is what Bhagavata is. This is what happened to Parikshit. Now, important thing to remember is when Vasudeva resides in the heart, Vasudeva cannot reside there. And who is Vasudeva? Vasu means wealth. When I seek wealth, I cannot seek God at the same time. If I seek God, I don't seek wealth. These two do not go together. In terms of our desires, in terms of our goals, in terms of our ideals, we cannot have both ideals. If I want Devam, I get Devam. If I want Dhanam, I get Dhanam. But if I want both, I get neither. I get Dayam, which is the devil. Another thing, it's very creditable if as a human being, I behave as a human being. It is even better if I exhibit divine qualities of selflessness, of love. I can rise up to that. But it's despicable if I behave as an animal. So when we listen to Bhagavatam, we must hold on to the company of people with virtues. We must develop virtues. We must give up our vices. That's what the main teaching is. Now, just as a person who is sitting on the shore of a sea starts counting waves, and how many waves are there? The counting begins when he begins the counting, and the number of waves ends when he stops his counting. That is for him. But the process of the waves does not stop. Like that, Bhagavatam, whatever story we share, wherever we dip in and share that is only that part. That does not cover or capture Bhagavan's glories and stories completely at all, because it's an eternal ocean. Bhagavatam is beyond space and time. And Bhagavan's story is nothing but nectar, amritam and sweetness. Even Vyasa uses the word amritam. You're going to see that in the slokam that we're going to cover very soon. Nothing but the ocean of nectar. And whichever part you go, no, we don't have to limit ourselves to Dasama Skandam, which all people always go. No, go to any Skandam. That is Bhagavan's same sweetness is there. If you just look for it, it is there for you to get. Right from the very first slokam of Bhagavatam, it is nothing but the sacredness, the sweetness for us to imbibe. And throughout Bhagavatam, there is nothing there that hides the sweetness from you. You just look for it. It is there for you to grab. It is as simple as that. Now, the love for God and the love of God, both are very important. And both are very sweet. No difference between Bhagavan and Bhakta. Now, the whatever way I want to drink it, whatever way I want to immerse myself in it, whatever way I want to taste it, that's up to you. Be personal. It should be a personal journey between you and Bhagavan, not what another Pauranika said or what another teacher said. Those are all their experiences. What is your experience? Seek Bhagavan. Grab him. There is no deficiency in your attempt to taste that sweetness of Bhagavan in Bhagavatam. You can taste it whatever way you want. Bhagavan will open himself to you. It is like this, because it's so holy and inspiring. You just take sugar. Suppose sugar is very sweet if you eat it in the daytime. Now, it is very equally sweet if you eat it in the nighttime also. Whether it is day or night is a change for you. It does not change sugar at all. Does not change the sweetness of the sugar at all. So, with that introduction, we have 2 minutes left. Let me at least read the very first slokam of Bhagavatam. And after I finish the session, please stay on the line. I have a question for you. Janmadhyasya yataha anvayate itaratascha arthesh vabhignaha svarate tene brahma hruda yaha adikavaye mukhyanti yat surayaha tejovari mrutam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. That is the very first slokam where Vyasa begins with a prayer, and we will cover that tomorrow with Bhagavan's grace. Okay, take up the meaning word by word and cover the meaning tomorrow. Janmadhyasya yataha anvayate itaratascha artesh vabhignaha svarate tene brahma hruda yaha adikavaye mukhyanti yat surayaha tejovari mrutam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om.